Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will be exploring how to create data tables in Excel. This is ID Analyst and let's enjoy this together. A number of people, Power BI users, they are very much familiar with how to create their data tables in Power Query or using DAX, but they struggle with how they would do the same when it comes to building their report in Excel. This will be the output. This is the resultants table that we'll get, wherein we would have a feeder into it, the start and the end date, so to put, and then we have all of these columns as the actual columns for all our dates. So we have a column for date, a column for year, month number, and some of these date attributes here. How do we achieve this? Let's see that in a moment. So what we're trying to do is to create a date table that has the start date to be 1st of January 2020 and the end date is the 31st of December 2020. And we will be using a combination of functions, but to start with, we'll be using the sequence function. So the sequence function is one of the functions in the dynamic array list. However, this is only available to Office 365 users. So if you are not on Office 365, you may not be able to implement the solution this particular way. But let's begin with this. So I'll do equal to sequence. So the sequence function is asking for a number of arguments. One compulsory argument and others are optional, but this is not the tutorial to talk about what the sequence actually does, but we want to see how to implement it in this particular scenario. The first thing is asking how many rows do we need. The number of rows that we need on this table would, if you think about it, that would correspond to the number of days we have in between our the date range. So which means, because at the end of the day we would have a row for a particular date, so which means if we're starting from the 1st of January 2020 and we are ending on the 31st of December 2020, we would need the full year, the full number of days between the start and the end date. So a quick way to get to that is just to subtract our days. So our dates can be worked with using some mathematical operations. So we can say that the end date, I select that, minus the start date. That's how we're doing. So this will give us the number of days in between. So if I try to highlight this too, we'll see that it says 365 days, which means we have 365 days between these two dates. Then the second argument is the column, that's optional. We don't need that for now. And then the start date, where do you want to start our sequence from? Obviously we want to start on the start date, which is the 1st of January, and the step will default to 1 if we leave it blank. So I'll close my bracket and then I hit enter. So here we have a series of dates that is formatted in number, so we can format this as date. So I just select this entire column and then I come here, select this column, then I change this to date, and now we have our dates running from the 1st of January 2020. If we scroll to the bottom, we see that we have 30th of December 2020. This did not get to 31st of December. So it's possible that maybe this is a leap year, and then maybe for some reasons we have 366 days, but somehow one of the days is not included. So when we do a subtraction, 10 minus 9, that is meant to be 1, so which means the start date is not included in the subtraction, so we just need to add a 1 here. If we add a 1 here, then that would get our dates from the start to the end of the year. Alright, so then we want to pull out the year from this date. So the year, we have a year function in Excel. I do equal to year, and then how do I reference my date here? If I just reference it this way, picking the first date, and I hit enter, that will pull out the year for this very first one. But this will not be dynamic, because what we want to achieve is, as soon as anybody provides the start and the end date, they should have everything on this to be populated. So the way to manage that is to come to our function here, our calculation, and then after we have specified the first cell, we add the hash sign, which is the symbol that tells Excel that you want to have the full selection of from your spilled range, and then I hit enter here. So this gives us the entire year that we have here. We expect that we should have only 1 year, which is 2020. To pull out the month number, we have the month function in Excel. So I do equal to month, and then we're pulling out from the date. I add the hash sign, close the bracket, and I hit enter on this, and this gives us the month number. See where here January ends and then February starts here, so the month number is 2. And now if we want to pull out the month name, the month name is a bit tricky because it's not, we don't have a function that can do that specifically. Maybe just like we had a month function that pulled us the month number, we don't have a function that says maybe month name and then that would directly give us January, February, March, or like that. But the trick around it is to format our dates. So for people that are coming from Power BI, DAX background, you know about the format function, which you can use them to manipulate dates, to format it in a way that you want. The same thing is applicable in Excel, but the equivalent function is the text function. So the text function says that this converts a value to text in a specific number format. So what does this mean? So we just need to specify the date here. I push the hash sign, and then how do we want the date to be formatted? We want this to be formatted in months, so we just want to see what month is in this date. So the code for that is I can do the 4Ms, which will give us the full month, the month written in full, and then I hit enter. So here we have January. If I scroll a bit down, then we get to February here. But for reporting purposes, you may want to have just the abbreviated month, maybe 3-lettered month. That's what would work better for your reporting. And that's why what you would do, we have a number of options around that, but we can still use the text function to get to that, or you use the left to extract the first 3 characters from the full month name. However, just to see how this works, so we can still use the text function for this. I had the hash sign, and then I had 3Ms here. So 3Ms is indicates that we want the 3-lettered month. And now we have Jan. If I scroll down, then we have Feb, and that continues that way. Another field for dates is the year month. So we may want a combination of the year and the month, having that as a reporting field on our report. If we want to pull that out, we just need to get to the year, which we already have out here. And then so we need to now concatenate this with the month number. So the month number, but for this case we want 2 figured months. So to put we want 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, then get to 10, 11, 12. So all our month numbers are 2 figured. So for that we'll have to concatenate this and get to the text function. Again, we are formatting our date, and how we want to format the date is that it should give us the 2 digits for month number, and we use 2 M's for that. If I'm using a single M here, for January will be 1, and for December will be 12 rather. However, if I'm using 2 M's, January will be 01, February 02, and like that. So I hit enter here, and now we have 2020 01. If I scroll down, we get to 2020 02. So now we want to get quarter. Here we want to try the quarter function, but unfortunately we don't have a quarter function. So how do we get quarter out? A number of techniques around it, but if you think about it for the moment, we want to get the quarter out of the month number. So when the month is 1, the quarter will be Q1. So when the month is January, February, or March, quarter is 1. When the month is April, May, June, quarter is 2, which means that for we know that 3 months, the consecutive 3 months, January, February, March, will be in the same quarter. April, May, June would also be in the same quarter as well, so which is in the multiple of 3s. So if that is understood, then what we need to do is first to take our month number. We take our month number here, we divide it by 3, but I want this to spill, so we just add the @ sign. We divide the month number by 3. So if we divide it by 3, we get for January 0.333, February 0.667, and when it gets to March we have 1. And once it gets down to April, we have more than 1 again, which means that what we may want to do is everything that is less than 1, we should find a way to round it up to 1. And everything between 1 point something and 2, we should find a way to round it up to 2. So I already told us the function that we use anyway. So we need to do a round up. So I'll come here, we'll round this up. So if we round this up to the nearest digit, I hit enter here, then I get 1 for January. February is also 1, March is also 1, then April we get 2. And to make this the way we may want it, we may want to add a Q before it. So I put a Q in double quote, and then I add an ampersand to concatenate it with the quarter number. So now we have Q1. If I get to April, we'll see we have Q2 here now. Then the day of the week. So we have a function weekday. I can quickly get to that, which will give us whether it is 1, 2, 3. However, maybe for this we may want to get the actual day of the week. So the actual day of the week might be a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, or a Friday, or something like that. And so what we may want to do is to we can still use the text function, and then we pull this out from the date we want this to spill. So I will add the hash sign or the pound sign, and then we use let's say we want the abbreviated day, which will be Wend, Mon, Till, and like that. I hit enter. This is what we have. And then for the day, let's say we want to pick the actual day number here, which should be between 1 to 7. So what we can do here is to use the weekday function, which will return a number between 1 to 7, and we are pulling it from the date still. And how do we want to? If you had a 1, it means that the first day will be Sunday and goes down to Saturday. We may want to do Monday to Sunday, depending. So I will prefer to go with let's say we're going with the default 1 which is Sunday, and then Saturday is 7. So I'll leave it at 1, and then I hit enter. So now this tells us 4 is Wednesday, Thursday is the 5th day, Friday is the 6th day, and our weekend is 7 and 1. And the last one for this case is we want to pull out what the day category would be. For the day category, what we may want to think about is, let's say that you have a reporting requirement that wants to look at your sales during the weekday and during the weekend, and so you want to be able to group your days into days that fall in the weekend and days that fall in during the weekday. A good function to manage that, because we want to run some conditions here, is to use the switch function. And so on the switch function, the expression is, what expression do we want single thing that we are specifying, the conditions, what do we want them to evaluate to? So we want them to evaluate to a true, so I will type a true here. And then the first condition we want to evaluate is, we want to check if this number here, I'll put the hash sign so that it spills, if the number here equals to what will be the first day in the weekend. It is 7, which is for Saturday, so I'll put it 7 here. And then if that is true, we want this to be weekend, so I'll put weekend here. And then the next condition we want to check is if that same cell, whatever is in the cell which is our day number, if that is equal to Sunday is 1, and we want to also tag that weekend, otherwise it should be tagged weekday. I hit enter here, so we have weekday for Wednesday up to Friday, then Saturday weekend, and Sunday weekend, and like that. So the interesting thing here is our date is running from the 1st of January 2020 to the 31st of December 2020. If I come here and I change this to, let's say this should run till the 28th of February 2020, and now we'll see that our date table would automatically update, and this ends on the 28th of February 2020. So this is pretty dynamic here, but somebody may want to ask as a bonus that, what if I want to tie this to my actual data, my actual sales data? So assuming that we have this to be our sales data, and we have a trade date column here that is from the 1st of April till probably the last date of the year. What we may want to do, okay, let me leave this for another video so it doesn't become too lengthy, because there is a scenario I would want us to check out on that, in the sense that the first transaction here is on the 1st of April 2014. What if we still want our calendar date to start on the 1st of January 2014? So regardless of what day of the year we had our first transaction, we want the calendar day to still start from the 1st of January of that year. So we'll see that in another video.